Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets, powered by FTN, live on our FTN Network YouTube page, and presented, of course, by the great Game Plus Network. Always a fantastic lineup over there, and thrilled to be part of the fantastic lineup over at Game Plus Network. It really is. Like, Game Plus Network, a lot of great shows. I know we don't touch on it too much, all right? But All in Football, 3 times a week over at Game Plus Network. Of course, the great Jake Seeley, one of the best rankers of all time, right? He knows he is. He knows he is. We pump his tires a little bit here over at FTN, of course, of The Athletic. He's a super sharp dude. He is coming your way on Game Plus Network this evening with Lauren Carpenter. I join him on Mondays and Wednesdays. Wednesdays I pick apart his rankings. I try to trash his rankings as much as I can. It's all fun and games, but again, Jake is a super sharp dude. Fantasy footballers are on Game Plus Network. Pat Mayo Experience, Mayo Media Network. I'm going to join him Sunday to do his it's like a waiver wire type show, because like recap after the most of the games that wrap up on Sunday. And he's on Game Plus Network. Of course, we have some of our shows, Betting with Benny on Game Plus Network. Today, Dangle Bet Selly will come your way on Game Plus Network. Also already available to be watched over at right here on our FTN Network YouTube page, iTunes, Spotify. And Neil Parker joined me this morning as we ran through the NHL slate, some picks and some props. Shot props, it took a little bit for them to come out, just kind of filtering through within the last hour or so, coming at you live here on our FTN Network YouTube page. I guess it's NBA day, 2 games in the NBA. The season tips off tonight, Celtics and the 76ers, followed by the Warriors, last year's champion. And they will take on the Los Angeles Lakers. The great Kyle Murray is going to join me a little bit today, a little bit later on. We're going to dive into those 2 NBA games, take a look at the NBA championship odds as well. We got some picks and some props on the hard court. I know there's some people in here looking for some football stuff. We'll do some football, but we're going to hit on the Big Four here today. And I do believe, I don't know if it's this Thursday we'll see Big Four in action. I think we will. We got to. I do believe that there's hockey and NBA, as well as the Thursday night football game. We have the Cardinals and the Saints. Next Thursday as well, we'll have the Big Four. I mean, we should have a handful of days with the Big Four all happening at once. No NHL action on Sunday. I think it makes a lot of sense. There's no point of rolling out a lot of games on a Sunday. Saturdays are always busy in the NHL. People are watching football here over the next little bit. But NBA 2 games tonight. We have 2 games around the diamond in baseball. We didn't get that Cleveland and New York Yankees game yesterday. It was postponed. Today we'll get it. It won't be Glasnow on the bump for the Pinstripes. It will be Nestor Cortez. Still going to roll with Aaron Savali. We're going to pick on him a little bit. It's going to be his first start here in the postseason. I don't imagine he's going to go deep into this game. Maybe once through the order. If he can get through that order without any damage once, then second time potentially. But this is the game, right? Tonight, the winner goes on to the American League Championship Series against the Houston Astros. And then we have game 1 of the NLCS tonight, Phillies and Padres. Lots happening, lots of action in the NHL. Man, there's a lot going on. Daily Handle, all 5 this Thursday, all 5. College football. We have golf happening this weekend, college basketball around the corner. It's all happening. It is all happening. So we're going to hit up all the sports, some NHL picks and some props, a couple MLB props for tonight, some picks. As I mentioned, Kyle's in the house, NBA stuff. And then we will take care of the people that are here for some football stuff. You know, Set Bet Spike is live as well, coming at you on Game Plus Network here this evening. You can watch it on our FTN Network YouTube page. Jeremy joined me today. Eric Young is traveling, so we had Neil join for Dangle Bet Selly. We had Jeremy join for football. We recapped last night's another dud game on primetime for the Broncos. He's not even, forget about primetime. Another dud game for the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson. Do we have another live look of Russell Wilson currently? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. This is the Broncos offense. It's not even really on Russ. You know, he had a good first half. I think he started 10 for 10. He was looking good. He was running a little bit. He escaped the pocket a couple times, some pressure, but it's just, I don't know, man. Nathaniel Hackett, the Broncos, maybe some of these wide receivers can't get separation. You know, Russ is underthrowing guys. He's got the shoulder thing happening now. So I said a couple weeks ago on this show, I tweeted it, Trevor Lawrence the rest of the way. It's not even close, right? It's not even close Russ has got one ceiling game here. His team is averaging, what is it? I want to get the exact numbers here for you. You know, I got to like Kornheiser. Let's get to the glasses. Let's get to my notes here. PTI, what do we got here? You got to zoom right in to see, is this actually real? Are they averaging 15.2 points per game on the season on offense? 15.2 points per game. The Denver Broncos, is that dead last in the NFL? It is. It is dead last. The Chicago Bears are averaging more points per game than the Denver Broncos. The Washington Commanders are averaging more points per game than the Denver Broncos. This is brutal. This team was 20-1, 15-1, I think, in some spots before the season got underway to win the Super Bowl. They're currently 90-1 to win the Super Bowl. Their defense is spectacular. They're allowing 16.5 points per game. It's the fourth lowest mark in, or best, however way you want to look at it, in the NFL. Justin Herbert struggled yesterday. Mike Williams struggled yesterday. Surtain is a shutdown corner in the league. He's played a handful of games in the NFL. He's elite. He's a shutdown corner. Saw Joshua Palmer have a few catches. Austin Eckler did his thing. He had a ton of targets. He found the end zone. He's great. Herbert struggled. Don't look into it too much. Broncos defense is great, right? They got the Jets this week. Do you start Russell Wilson against the Jets? I don't think so. I don't think you start him against the Jets. Jets secondary is actually pretty decent. Denver's pretty good. Jets are pretty good defensively. You know, they are. They got playmakers on both sides of the football. Sauce Gardner is an absolute stud, but man, the Broncos, a couple of takeaways from that game. We'll get into it in the next block, but they look awful. We'll get into some quarterback streams. This is a big week. We got the Eagles on bye. We got the Rams on bye. We have the Vikings on bye and the Buffalo Bills on bye. So you got a lot of quarterbacks, right? You got Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins in the Superflex League, Matthew Stafford potentially in the Superflex League. How about the wide receivers on bye this week? Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, right? You got a lot of studs at the wide receiver position. So we got to figure out quarterbacks, stream defenses, some good defenses there too. Been rolling with the Eagles. Eagles were a defense we talked about on this show is like a cheap, you can pick them up at the very end of your draft. Schedule's fantastic. I would hold. I'm holding wherever I can. Schedule is still pretty good outside of the bye this week. Obviously, you're holding on to the Bills, and the Rams got some things happening as well. DraftKings fleeced everyone with that Herbert plus 100 TD boost. Yeah, I guess they did. Usually their boosts are good to go. They actually kind of hit, but you know, you can only do the max bet is sometimes like 25 or 30. I don't know what it would have been there for Herbert and company, but not a great football game last night. It wasn't that entertaining. We did have the Broncos plus 6.5. We talked about them covering and the Chargers winning by a field goal and low scoring game. We did get that right. But I'll tell you what, I got a lot wrong on this show yesterday. And I got to rebound in a hurry. Or maybe we won't have any more shows. One thing we won't have are shows the rest of the week on Game Plus Network. No shows Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But we will have some content on FTN Network. I mean, I have to, right? Big sports fan here. Got to talk some sports with you guys. Little small samples. So subscribe to our FTN Network YouTube page, smash the like button. We got lots of content where, you know, we really love the support that you've given us here as a company and for me personally on this show. So Thursdays, you know, we'll still have Dangle Bet for some NHL picks and props. I'll have, I'm going to have some sort of, you know, either tomorrow or Friday, maybe both, some NHL prize picks, plays, or just straight up prop video for you with some shot props. Of course, we have our bet tracker, ftnbets.com, 20% off using promo code Meaney, all picks across all sports. It's all happening, as we talked about, projections tools, Discord channel. It's all there for you. And then on Friday, I'll have a little bit of short video as well with my favorite props, picks, and things like that. But it's been a rough go, honestly, in the NFL. Did Mike Boone, he hardly touched the field. That was the pick I led with yesterday. This guy hardly touched the field. So some struggles there. Certainly shot props haven't been fantastic, but it's early in the season. We've hit on a couple parlays. So we're looking to bounce back here in the NHL. Lots to get to here on this show. We'll take a quick break and we'll get into some of those picks and some of those props. Keep her locked. We'll be back in a couple.
At DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bet on nearly any sport imaginable. The NFL, the NBA, college football, college basketball, golf, the NHL, tennis, Major League Baseball, MMA, and more. Download the DK Sportsbook app on iOS and Android operating systems, as well as on your desktops or in mobile browsers. Get the best bonuses using promo code FTN. Remember, the only way to gamble responsibly is to win. Prize Picks is a creative new way to parlay picks based on expected fantasy point production and single stat projections. You pick 2 to 5 players and predict if they'll go over or under their projected fantasy point total or their single stat total. When parlaying the players, the larger your parlay, the better the payout. A 2-pick entry pays 3x. A 3-pick entry pays 5x. A 4-pick entry pays 10x. As a bonus offer, there's a flex play option. This provides an added level of security on your entry where you can decrease your multiplier received if you miss one of your entries but hit on all the others. At FTN, we have Prize Picks coverage for every sport in both article and standalone pick format on our Prize Picks pick tracker. Use promo code FTN for a 100% deposit match on your first deposit of up to $100.
Welcome back in. I think I got to stop betting on the halves. I was part of it last night. I mean, you're getting some decent things right in the tracker. Yesterday was a rough day in the NHL, though, not going to lie. Good on everybody who, I think there were some winners in the FTN family, the crew. Kenneth Lee, he's like, got to bet on the Coyotes. And, it's just another game for the Leafs where they kind of play down to their opponent. But the Coyotes do kind of they'd have their number. I think they have a point against them. And I believe it's like 10 or 12 straight games in Toronto, the Coyotes. I know they don't play there a lot. It's like usually when there's a full season, and we had some shortened seasons and COVID and things like that. But they play there at least once a year, right? How about the Coyotes? 20 of their first 24 games are going to start on the road. That's ridiculous. It's wild. Of course, they're building that children's arena for them. Okay, so we'll do some NHL stuff in just a little bit. I see some football things happening here as well. So a couple takeaways from last night. I mean, I really don't have much. Just talked about Russ, right? I mean, just another game. Struggles from this guy. I mean, Trevor Lawrence the rest of the way. Just give me a quarterback. He's got some upside. The offense it's just so bad. It's so obvious too. I thought they should have ran the ball a little bit more early on, but Russ was looking like the old Russ, and then he didn't do anything in the second half and into overtime. Nothing. This guy's played 6 games, got 5 touchdowns. The Broncos just gave him all that money on his NFL resume. That's it. Can you believe it? They didn't even let him play a couple games. Like the front office has to be kicking themselves right now on this whole Russell Wilson situation. They locked him up. They paid him handsomely, and this guy looks below average. He looks below average, and he's dealing with the shoulder thing. So there was only a couple surprising things for me last night. That wasn't one of them, to be honest. Cortland Sutton up against, Jackson. It's a tough spot. JC Jackson, right? It's a tough spot. He was targeted early a couple of times, and I'm like, oh, Russ will just go to him, and it'll be it. And Russ didn't go to him anymore. But I saw a question there earlier, Bilo and Sutton. I still believe in him overall. It's the only guy I really believe in this offense. He's got the highest ADOT. He's, got the large percentage of air yards and on his team and target share. I think so. I'm not really adjusting my ranks with him. He's going to have to deal with Sauce Gardner this week, and he's legit. I'll tell you what, the Jets got playmakers on both sides of the football. So I don't love his spot this week. You could maybe just add another week, let another week go by, and you can buy low on him, and then you get him even cheaper. I still view him as a decent wide receiver too, like upside to be a solid wide receiver too. If you're getting him to be your third, maybe you missed Hollywood. You're going to lose Hollywood here, unfortunately. I came down last night before the show. Actually, just after the show ended, we saw Hollywood news. It was originally gone for the season. Upside, potential optimism that he could be back. And then they acquired Robbie Anderson as the deep threat guy. I guess he would, fill that Hollywood role. Rondell in the slot. Hopkins is back this week. Thursday Night Football, Saints. So, but I still view him as a decent buy low. But man, no real surprises on the Denver side of things. Somebody reached out to Jake and I as like a dart throw play out of any Broncos tight end. We said Dulcich. He played 41 snaps yesterday, ran 27 routes, which was third on the team. The snaps also third on the team. He only had 3 targets, but he did have a receiving touchdown. I'm not saying that he's like a tight end you pick up and you roll it every week, but maybe he's somebody that we need to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be shocked if he was the guy this week. If Sauce shuts down, Sutton, and, he's a guy that maybe in 2 tight end leagues, believe it or not, they're out there, premium tight end. He could be interesting. That the biggest surprise though last night had to be the backfield, did it not? Like, forget a Boone Jenner. I got Boone Jenner on my mind. I'll talk about him a little bit later on. Forget about Mike Boone. How about Latavius Murray? Just first game with the Broncos and owned the backfield last night. Played 27 of the 58 snaps. He had 15 carries. Mike Boone, 21 snaps. He ran 12 routes. Latavius ran 9. 2 targets for Boone, 1 target for Latavius, 1 carry for Boone. Melvin Gordon, 9 snaps. 9 snaps. He had 3 touches, 3 carries, 0 targets, ran 5 routes. Pretty interesting, right? I know he struggled with protecting the football. And, it was a fun little revenge narrative. But the way to beat the Chargers is to run the rock. It's not like Latavius looked fantastic last night. He had a couple decent runs, but everyone's been running all over this Chargers team. 5.8 yards per carry allowed. I thought we'd see a little bit more Melvin Gordon last night. And, Melvin Gordon, there was a little bit of a change before the Javonte Williams injury. In that game before he got hurt, I saw him kind of overtake the backfield a little bit more. 60-40 last year, and then at the start of the season, but it was more like 70-30 in that game. And then of course, the injury happened early and we saw Melvin. But in my opinion, like, Melvin was good enough to steal touches from Javonte. Now he's not good enough to steal touches from Latavius. Again, like, Latavius is a nice veteran back and he's taking care of the rock. Different coaching scheme, clearly. Personnel than last year, so they don't really owe anything to Melvin Gordon. And again, he's struggling, so he's taking a back seat. But I don't think he's hurt. I looked like a guy last night that was just ticked off on the sidelines, not getting any run, not getting any play. So Latavius is a guy that we touched on this show as a stash. I think it's just crowded. It's going to be a mess moving forward. Latavius will be ranked higher for me than Melvin Gordon, until the foreseeable future, until things change for the Jets. But I would imagine he's the lead against the Jets. I don't love the spot. I don't think he's a RB2. I think he's like a flex guy, but we're into bye weeks here. Injuries are going to happen. You want to have these guys. There's really not a lot of running backs, to pick up. I still think Rachaad White is the best handcuff in the game. I know some people are picking up Deontay Foreman. There's some CMC buzz that he potentially could get traded. I don't think CMC is going anywhere, guys. But if you want and you're in a deep league, Foreman would be the guy over Chuba Hubbard. But I still think Rachaad White is the best guy to stash and pick up if anything happens to Fournette. We've seen White, get some red zone touches. He's converted for a touchdown. I know there was at least one goal line opportunity he had that he converted for a touchdown a couple weeks ago. We also saw some drives where he was catching some balls out of the backfield. So if anything happened to Fournette, the true next man up is like a guy who's going to touch the ball 20 plus times like Fournette is doing, would be Rachaad White. So I really think he's worth a pickup if you're looking for guys, to start this week. Tyler, do you have the week 7 board? We can check that and roll. We did this last week. We rolled through some things here. I know some people are looking for quarterback streams, defense streams, and things like that. So, right off the hop, the Thursday night football game here, I think the odds have actually already changed since this morning, 1.5 to 2.5. We'll keep an eye on Eno Benjamin and James Conner. If Ingram is the guy there, I don't think I would be rolling him out, but he is somebody to maybe pick up here tonight, just in case Darrell Williams is not going to play. Short week, maybe Conner doesn't play. You may need a healthy body to roll out there. It's not ideal. Saints do have a really strong run defense. Wasn't efficient last week. He was getting touches. I think he had 3 catches, 15 carries. He surpassed his carry prop and his receiving yard prop, but he wasn't doing a whole lot on the ground. And even if he's playing on the short week, dealing with an injury already, I don't expect anybody to have a lot of success running against these Saints. But Rondale Moore, interesting. Robbie Anderson, maybe a deep league pickup, better quarterback play here, even though the Cardinals have really struggled on offense, especially in the first half of games. And that's coaching to me. I think Kingsbury is the next coach fired. The Saints, it doesn't look like we're going to see Landry this week and Michael Thomas again. We'll see if Olave can get back onto the field in a short week, missed last week due to a concussion. I think the Cardinals defense could be in play as like a streaming option here. Atlanta and Cincinnati, I think Marcus Mariota is an option at quarterback. If you have, Jalen Hurts, if you're dealing with Russ, I would play Mariota over Russ. Honestly, I would. This is it. Forget name value. Forget the money tied to the contract. He's not looking good. He's dealing with the shoulder thing. We talked about it. He's not looking good. And Mariota's looking okay. He's got 3 games, I think, with over 50 rushing yards. if the Bengals push the pace and score some points, see Mariota chuck a little bit more to London or Pitts, who found the end zone last week. Mariota's got a little bit of a safe floor there to him. And if you can toss a touchdown or two, you can get a ceiling game from him. We haven't seen anything really from Russ. One game, that's it. Detroit, Goff, a little bit of a tough spot against the Cowboys in that defense, but Goff is somebody I would roll out ahead of Russ as well. I want to throw Jameson Williams' name out there because he is this is probably your last chance to get this guy. He's going to return soon. You can pick him up and chuck him on IL, just as a stash. Just get ahead of the curve now. It may not be a move for you if you're, you only have 1 or 2 wins. Jameson may not do anything to you, but if you're thin at wide receiver, you lost Hollywood, you're dealing with some inconsistency at the wide receiver position. Keenan Allen, when's this guy going to back? Things like that. You can pick him up and maybe he'll be something for you moving forward. But he definitely is very explosive. It's like a mini Deshaun Jackson. I do believe, blow the top off the defense, 50 plus yards, the defense in Detroit is just pathetic, right? They're allowing a lot of points. I think the most in the NFL. So Goff is chucking, he's throwing back and he's chucking. Same with Gallup on the other side. He'd be a waiver wire pickup if anyone dropped him over the past couple of weeks. Dak's going to return soon. I don't know if it'll be this week. I think Dallas can afford to play rush in this spot, beat the Lions. But if Dak comes back, and we'll see, we'll certainly see something more from Michael Gallup, no question. Colts, keep an eye on that backfield. Matt Ryan is a guy that I would actually play over Russ as well. He had a 300-yard game against the Titans earlier in the year. He had one just last week. Pittman should go off. Alec Pierce is a guy we've talked a lot about this year, probably your last chance to grab him off the waiver wire. Had a touchdown last week. And on the Tennessee side of things, there's just nothing there. Packers and Commanders, I think we're going to see Heineke start for Washington. I don't know if they've confirmed that yet, but I would imagine they go to him. If Wentz was struggling, I think, and they would go to Howell, but since there was an injury, they probably still feel like they're in it. So they'll roll with Heineke, decent number 2, I suppose, is a super flex guy. I still believe in Dubs. People are dropping him. I think he's okay, but he's definitely behind Lazard. Tunyon, if you need a tight end. Panthers, there's nothing there. Bucks, right? You're just rolling out all the studs. Giants, I think, I would roll with Mariota, and I think I would roll with Jones over Ryan, but it's pretty close for me. But I would roll with Mariota. I think he's one of the better streaming options there. Jacksonville, I still believe in Christian Kirk. I think he's a buy low opportunity for him. Travis Etienne will be ranked ahead of Robinson for me. He's definitely the guy who's getting more snaps, and he looks a little bit fresher. But Robinson's still getting some goal line work there, so he does have a little bit of value. I wouldn't cut ties with him. Browns and Ravens, I think you can, roll out Browns defense if you wanted to, if they were available. But, Jacoby Brissett is interesting. I think just in a super flex league as your number 2 quarterback, that's kind of the way I would go there. I think Bateman is a buy low candidate. There's some risk. I do believe Bateman needs to be on the field for Lamar to kind of hit his ceiling, right? He's struggled the past couple of weeks. I think he needs Bateman in the lineup, a little deep threat guy who they hooked up, I think, with touchdowns in the first couple games. Nothing here. I guess there's something to be said about the number 2 wide receiver against the Broncos. If Surtain's going to take away Garrett Wilson, then maybe we see a target from Elijah Moore, or maybe it's just a Corey Davis week potentially. But yeah, it's definitely Breece Hall ahead of Carter. And then I suppose Latavius over Melvin Gordon, but it's very crowded there in Denver. I think you can roll out the Jets defense, honestly, against the Broncos. I think you could roll out the Raiders defense against the Texans. Nico Collins, make sure he is picked up. He is certainly trending up. I'll get Pierce back in the lineup. All the Raiders there. Hunter Renfrow may have been dropped. I'd grab him, especially in a PPR league. I don't necessarily think I'd start him this week, but it's nice to have some depth. Seattle and the Chargers, Kenneth Walker, really good game from him. Quiet game from the Seattle wide receivers and Lockett and DK. On the Chargers side of things, I think we saw Joshua Palmer with that week because Surtain was on Mike Williams. I'd look for Mike Williams to have a big game, nice bounce back. People are always like, what have you done for me lately? So I think he is certainly interesting from a fantasy standpoint. Buy low potentially. If anyone was willing to trade Mike Williams, I would not be willing to trade Mike Williams, but I'd look to trade for him. A sneaky little quarterback stash or stream this week may actually be Jimmy G. He threw the ball a lot last week, which is not the recipe for success. It's not what the Niners want, but, if Atlanta could score 28 on San Fran's D, then I think we could see Patty Mahomes and company score 28. I actually like that spread. I'm going to jump on Kansas City -3. I think that they win that game. It's going to be a tough spot in San Fran, good defense, but I like the Chiefs to win by a field goal. And I think you could roll a Jimmy G against them. he's had some decent games, 18 fantasy points, roughly better than Russ. Steelers and Dolphins. I think you could potentially roll at the Dolphins as a defense if you need them. I think we'll see Tua Tagovailoa back under center this week. Unsure what's going to happen in Pittsburgh. If it's not Trubisky, we've already seen, or if it's not Pickett, we've already seen what life is like with Trubisky. Yeah, they won the game last week, but there's not a lot of high upside for anybody in the Steelers offense if Trubisky's under center. And then Bears and Pats. Pats actually a really good defense to stream. They've been scoring some points lately. If for whatever reason they're hanging around your waiver wire, they got a good schedule coming up as well. So I would consider the Pats. The Giants not on here? Yeah. Did I roll through the Giants already? Yeah. We talked about Rondell Robinson yesterday. He's a guy maybe to pick up. I got Alex Pierce on my list. I got, Jameson on my list. Talked about Rondell. Maybe Robbie is a deep guy as well. I got a lot of lists hanging around here. So I thought I had some more at the wide receiver position. But I don't think that I do. So yeah, it's really like Nico Collins, Alec Pierce. Those are guys that I think are trending up. Wandell's like a potential stash. And then we'll break right now. And I think there was some questions. We'll get to some of those questions before we officially turn the page on the NFL for the day. Yes, no mean streets the rest of the week, daily handle, some programming stuff happening over at Game Plus Network. But like I said, we'll have some quick hit videos. Subscribe to our FTN Network YouTube page. Gonna pop on, do like 5-10 minute videos on my favorite picks. Thursday Night Football, we'll have some props, and we'll definitely have a lot of content on our FTN Network YouTube page as well. And like I said, lots of content over at Game Plus Network. Still have Set Bet Spike on Friday and Dangle Bet on Thursday, and Betting with Benny as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a couple. Keep her locked.
I can't say enough about what we've got going on over at FTNBets.com.
At FTN Bets, your bankroll can be profitable. With the FTN Bet Tracker, you can tell your favorite experts across all sports, including the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball.
Welcome back to Mean Streets here on Game Plus Network. I'm your host, Chris Meaney.
And with our premium content, you can take your bets to the next level. Only $49.99 a month. Use the tools the pros use at FTN. Our betting models run over 100,000 simulations of every game, with sides and totals in the NFL, the NBA, and more. Use the home run predictor to see who'll hit a bomb deep. Our NFL player projections will make you a DFS king. And the FTN Prop Shop always finds the best odds for your player props. All tools, projections, and models are powered by FTN data.
Welcome back in. So if I went through some quarterbacks, but I don't know if I ranked them. People like ranks. I would go, I really like Mariota and Jimmy. Like those are the two guys for me this week. I would double check to see if anybody dropped Trevor Lawrence. I know people were dropping him after those two dud games. One was a bad weather, and I believe one was an outlier. Set 2 rushing touchdowns from him last week. And then Carr, like if anybody dropped Carr, good spot this week against the Texans. I think people may have dropped them. Tyler, yeah, 5-1 Giants and 3-point underdogs to the 2-4 Jaguars. I'm personally going to ride with the Giants, right? I've been riding with them the past couple weeks in terms of spreads. I didn't think they were going to beat Baltimore, but I definitely liked them to cover that game. I got to like 6.5. They've just been, man, like they're just playing good football. Can we chuck that schedule up one more time? And we'll just kind of run through just a quick hits here. So I think I'm going to be on Arizona. A Bengals, We'll see about the Cowboys. If it is Cooper Rush, I actually think the Lions are a cover team that kind of hang around with teams. I know that their defense is awful, but it's not like the Cowboys are blowing us away offensively. They're going to run down Detroit's throats. Like, Detroit can't stop the run. They'll use Zeke, they'll use Pollard, but we could see a backdoor cover in there. I'm going to be on the Titans. I'll be on the Packers at the 5.5. I know they've been atrocious, but I think that they beat Washington there. That's a high number for Tampa. It's definitely a stay away game if you have to pick it. I do lean with the Bucks, even though they haven't covered the last couple weeks. Have been backdoored. Well, they lost last week, but the week before that against the Falcons. Definitely with you, Tyler, on the Giants. I think Cleveland will cover that game, 6.5, a lot of points, divisional game. Oh man, Broncos and Jets. I may even just take the Jets in the money line. It's going to be a low scoring game. I don't think we'll see a lot of points. My goodness. I think I have a lean to the Broncos at 3, but I don't love it. Raiders at 7. It's a high number. I like them out of the bye. 7 is a really high number, but I think they'll be able to move the ball, get some points there. Chargers, yes. KC, maybe Steelers, honestly. 7 is a high number as well. Defense is still decent. It's a stay away. I wouldn't, Miami, I don't think is good enough to be touchdown favorites. And then the Pats have been playing really good football defensively, right? The Bears haven't shown us a whole lot. 7.5 is a high number as well. Drop 49ers D, hot start, played Chiefs, then bye. So yeah, I think so. Drop 49ers D, play the Chiefs. Sure, it's not great. Some of these other defenses, I think, I'll just throw out a couple defenses that I think actually could be a little bit better. But I do roll with. I do like what you're saying there. Maybe Chiefs and then away you go. So Pats, just double check, 66% ownership in Yahoo. Vegas, I would roll out Vegas over the Chiefs D at 4%, against the Texans. Even the Titans, right? Matt Ryan talked about him as a decent stream, maybe in a super flex league, but he still has a lot of turnovers and things like that. And we got this Titans team, 5 sacks in week 1. They got a pick in every game but 1. They got 6 sacks in their last 2 games. Broncos, if they're available, 67% against the Jets. The Bengals at 36%, I think, are decent. Even the Giants at 6%, and the other side, Jacksonville at 60%. I think those are 2 interesting defenses as well over the Chiefs. But Chiefs are available. I'm seeing them at 32%. Heck, the Jets at 6% against Russ. This team's got 14 sacks. They got 7 picks. They got 3 fumble recoveries. They got a defensive score. They looked pretty good against Rodgers last week. So I think the Jets are actually a pretty decent stream. I would roll the Jets out over the Chiefs for sure. I think that's it in terms of fantasy. Was there a couple questions? Matthew, do you think I could trade DJ Moore and Gibson for Lockett? The guy I'm trading has Khalil Herbert as his RB2. Wow, yeah, he definitely needs an RB. You're not really helping him out, though, with Gibson, right? I would not want Gibson on my squad, and I would not be starting this guy. So I think you could try. You could try to trade DJ and get Gibson and get Lockett. Why not? Try it out. Kyle Woods in the house. Need a QB for Hurts this week, but must make room or just assume the loss with A.J. Brown, Diggs, and Cook out. Yeah, so tough spot for you. Maybe assume the loss, but still try to get the win. Drop candidates. Melvin Gordon, Rashad White, Pickens, keeping Philly D with tight end drop for bye week D. Okay. I think that Rashad White is a league winner. I think he's a league winner. I think he has potential to be a league winner. I don't think I'd cut him. I think I'd keep that stash. But I don't know the makeup of your team. Like, if you feel like you need a running back to start in a couple weeks, like Gordon is probably worth hanging on to. Everyone's going to drop Gordon. We're going to touch on transaction trends, and everyone's going to drop Gordon. This is going to be dropped, and Latavius gets hurt. All of a sudden, Gordon is a guy again. I probably drop Gordon. And if you got good running backs, and Gordon's not going to touch your roster in the next couple weeks, keep the stash. Keep the potential league winner there. It looks like you got good backs, right? Cook, Stevenson, Walker. Wow, you're in good shape. You don't need Gordon, right? You're good to go there. I think we're due for another break, and then we'll get into some NHL stuff. I think we hit on everything, right? I just wanted to make sure I got everything football. Again, if I in a 12-team dropping Marquise Brown, too much upside in waiver wire, yeah, absolutely. I think we're good. I think we hit on all the questions. If you guys have any more, you can leave them there. I can get to them a little bit later on, maybe not on this show, but certainly address them in the comment section. Kyle's hanging by. We're going to do NHL picks here next, and then we'll touch base with Kyle and talk NBA. Still have some MLB stuff for you as well. Keep your lock. Lots more to get to here on Mean Streets. Welcome back in Mean Streets here live at our FTN Network YouTube page, powered by Game Plus Network. Chris Meaney here hanging out with you. Kyle is in the next block. We're going to touch on the 2 NBA games. NBA season tips off tonight, and we're going to touch on a couple NHL props here for you. I got a couple parlays that I like. Some of these players are juiced. Don't really want to take them as singles. One thing that did work out for us well yesterday, certainly it was not the Pens stack, was the Kyle Connor and Adrian Kempe a parlay, the shot prop. So I'm kind of going with the same thing here with a couple shot props. Tyler, if you want to chuck this up, we'll show the people if you have it. If not, there we go. So Jack Hughes and Leon Draisaitl, both of these guys are juiced for 3 shots. You can put them together, 2.5 for both of these guys to have 3 shots at plus 141. I believe that was over at DraftKings. I think we'll see some goals in this Ducks and Devils game. The Devils, decent 5-5 team. They push the pace. Corsi 4, they're actually leading the way with 82.6 shot attempts at 5-5 per 60 minutes, but they're just so weak in goal that I think that the Ducks, they got 4 goals yesterday. It's a tough spot for Anaheim last night in New York at MSG. They lost 6-4. Rangers look fantastic. And then, the second half of back-to-back is tough, but I think we'll see some offense here. So I'm kind of riding with certain dudes. Jack Hughes for the 3 shots. I actually like that line tonight. It's pretty sneaky. Jesper Bratt, Hughes, Sharon Govich. I got plus money, 126, I believe, for Jack Hughes to have an assist. But for these guys to have 3 shots and Draisaitl 3 shots, same thing with Pasta. The guy is a shooting machine. He's had at least 4 shots in every game. I think he had like 8 last night. A fantastic end-to-end goal matchup here against the Sens. I actually think the Sens could win today on home ice. Boston played last night a tough spot against Florida. It was a physical game, maybe a little bit of a letdown spot, but I think Pasta gets to the 4. And Stamkos he's been money, right? He's been shooting the puck quite a bit. I can't give you guys Braden Point because Point hasn't worked out, but I actually like him at plus money today. The Flyers into Tampa today. They've allowed the most shot attempts at 5-5 per 60, despite them being perfect on the season. Just a special week in Philadelphia, right? With the Eagles undefeated, the Flyers undefeated, the Phillies are playing today in the NLCS against the Padres. Lots of things happening in Philadelphia. Love it. I just love it. But the Flyers, they're going to give up some rubber. So Stamkos is in there as well. And, Braden Point, if you're looking for a plus money play, shot prop, he's okay. Troy Terry is like my guy. I just love this guy. 37 goals last year. Nobody believed in him. He was a steal on draft day. Again, I don't understand why he was going so late in drafts. He's just a sniper. He's a volume shooter. He's had at least 3 shots in every single game. Talked about the Devils' struggles, in goal. Like the over 6.5. He's minus 128 for a point here today. He's got a point in every single game. His first game, he had 2 goals and 3 points. His second game, he had a goal. And then last night against the Rangers, he had 3 shots and 2 assists. So he's a guy that's on my radar. Adrian Kempe, you guys know my love for Adrian Kempe as well. I actually like that entire line. Andre Kopitar is plus money for an assist. Tough spot, second half of a back-to-back in Nashville. I like the Preds to win. But Adrian Kempe's got 4 goals, and he's got 5 points through 4 games. He had at least 3 shots in 3 of his 4. He's at 3.5 now plus money, so I probably won't go down that road, but I think I like him to get a point. And if he gets a point, Kopitar is most likely getting a point. Plus money for an assist. Kempe maybe scores. Fiala scores. And then Kopitar is in there for the assist. And then Boone Jenner. Boone Jenner is my plus money play here for today. He just plays a lot. You don't view him as a big goal scorer, even though he had 20 plus last year. He's had at least 3 shots in every game. He just plays a lot. He really does. 19 minutes, 20 minutes, 22 minutes. He's on that first line with Johnny Hockey. He's on that first power play. He touches a lot of categories from a fantasy hockey standpoint. He's a must own if you're playing in leagues with hits and block shots and faceoffs, and he will contribute with 50 plus points, and he'll get 20 plus goals for you. So I like Boone Jenner. There's a lot more in our FTN bet tracker. A crazy long shot would be Kevin Hayes at plus 150. I noticed that Bet Rivers has him at plus 150, but DraftKings and FanDuel has him at minus 140 for 3 shots. Against Tampa is not ideal, but he's another guy that plays a lot, and he's been good to us. Dating back to the last month of the season last year, he's pretty good. I don't think he hit in game number 2, but he hit in game number 1. Goal scorers, Pasternak, Jack Hughes, Troy Terry. I think Hughes and Terry have, I like them for plus money for an assist, but I think they both find the back of the net. Evander Kane, Adrian Kempe, Matt Duchene also in play for 2.5 shots. I think DeBrincat gets his first as a Senator as well. I'll be taking some shots in the Oilers puck line, Tampa in 60, Nashville on home ice, Ottawa on home ice, New Jersey and Anaheim over. And I think your dog may be the Sharks against the Islanders. Looks like Sorokin's going to get the night off. Matthew Barzal wasn't at the morning skate. San Jose is not great, but I think they could win at plus 160 or something like that. Why not? We just saw the Coyotes win at like plus 450 against the Maple Leafs. Whoa. Hyman plus 160 for an assist, and Draisaitl's plus money for 2 points. That's kind of what I got written down there. That's it for the hockey talk. A whole lot more over at FTNBets.com. We're going to bring in Kyle Murray. 2 games in the association tonight. This guy's been hot fire in the NFL. Hot fire. He's hot fire in the NBA. He's hot fire in the MLB. He's hot fire all the time. So we're going to bring him in. We're going to talk Warriors and Lakers, Celtics and 76ers. That's next here on Game Plus Network. Welcome back in. No Kyle Murray just yet, Tyler. Oh, there we go. Kyle Murray in the house coming in hot. Actually, he probably is the hottest capper in the world right now. He is, dude, you are crushing it, man. What is this, like back-to-back 3 for 3 weeks over the NFL betting show? You're doing some great stuff for us in the Prize Picks prop show. You got some NBA props already out. You're hitting on NFL as the week wraps up into the Sunday. So as you know, no surprise, I see the work that you put in every day. I don't know if the people on the mean streets see it, but they definitely should. Welcome to the show, KMurrDFS, part of everything over at FTN. 2 games in the association tonight. One thing I wanted to say off the top that I failed to mention, we're doing free 3-day trials for those that are just, kind of getting their feet wet from DFS. I mean, you have a big hand in all of that, from an NFL standpoint, a golf, and then NBA here. I feel like, football is king, but I feel like you're a big NBA guy. Like, I feel like you'd say NFL is probably your number one, but I think NBA might be your like 1A.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I was actually talking about this on the prop show yesterday. Like, obviously NFL is everyone's number one, it feels like, but in terms of like things that you get to do every day, and like NBA is definitely that for me. And it's always been my best sport as well from a props perspective and a DFS perspective. So yeah, definitely a big NBA guy here.
Yeah, ftndaily.com. Sign up, right? Free to sign up. Try the 3-day trial. Why not? Like, get your feet wet here this week. I would actually do it maybe this weekend. You get a little bit of a feel for NFL. You get some projections. Kyle's doing some projections. And yeah, we got some props and things like that. But yeah, you get a feel of the optimizer. We're going to have a lot of content, daily content. NBA, stacks, core articles, you got the Discord channel, all that good stuff. So check it out. No real excuse not to. Free-day trial. Get your feet wet and see what you can get done there. 2 games in the association tonight, but I wanted to bring up the NBA championship odds quickly. I don't know if there's any value. We did this last year, and Tino and I were like, the Warriors are 9-1. Let's just take a shot on them. We actually got that one right. They're 6-1, opened up as favorites with the Celtics, the Clippers in there as well. It's 6-1. I never believe in this Clippers squad, man. I don't know. I know it could be different this year with Kawhi, healthy, and Paul George and things like that, but 6-1 I think is kind of a sucker bet. But if you like them, by all means, it's okay. Celtics at 7-1, Suns at 12-1, the Bucks at 8-1. Longer shots, Lakers at 18-1. I believe they were favorites last year, believe it or not. The Mavs at 22-1, the Grizzlies with Ja at 22-1, maybe another step forward, right? They got smacked in the face in the playoffs. Young squad, got a little bit of a taste of the playoffs. The Timberwolves at 35-1. Those north of the border, your guys' Raptors are 45-1 here. Bulls, just for George, at 66 or 65. Any team jump out at you that you take maybe a shot on now that you feel like in a month or two the odds could be different?
The first thing that pops up to me is the Nuggets. I mean, we've seen this team at times look like an elite contender, and at times they look like just a fun team to watch. And that's a really big difference in the NBA from being that elite contender and then just being another team that everyone likes. But I like to look at teams who got better in the offseason, and I think the Nuggets are one of them. And they're getting Jamal Murray back this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to have to hope that he's able to return to what he was before the injury. But with all the time that he took off to get right, I think he's going to come back just fine. And Jamal Murray is a great player. So I think getting him back is a huge step. And I think back to 2 years ago when he hurt that knee, I thought the Nuggets were going to win it all that year. I thought it was a great.
Was in the bubble?
I think it was the year after that when no, it might have been the bubble year, but
because Murray was really good in the bubble too.
Yeah.
Like he kind of had his coming out.
Oh
party
yeah,
in the playoffs. I remember.
Yeah, that's kind of when he got that name of being like an elite scorer. So, but I think it was the year after when he hurt his knee.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say the Nuggets love Jamal Murray, getting him back. If Michael Porter Jr. can stay healthy, he's an elite secondary player to have. So Nuggets be my pick there. And I'm with you on the Clippers. I was surprised to see them up there. I saw an interview with Paul George the other day, and he was like talking about how they were favorites to win. And I was confused. I was like, that's a pretty big number there for them. So yeah, Nuggets be my pick here.
Yeah, I like the Nuggets too. Daily Handles in the house, right? MPJ, if he can stay healthy, Nuggets are dangerous. Yeah, Canadian boy, we definitely like Murray on this show. They do have a lot of nice pieces. That's a team that I think we'll see in a month if they get off to that hot start, and we'll see their odds change a little bit. Okay, that's it. 2 games on the hardcore tonight, though. Let's start with the Celtics and the 76ers. We do have a matchup board for this contest. 76ers plus 120, Joel Embiid and company versus Tatum at minus 2.5. The spread, the total at 216.5. There's not a lot that I love from this game. I think that Tatum and Embiid could go off, but I was looking at Marcus Smart. I don't know what you think about Smart at 4.5 assists. This is a guy that last year averaged 5.9 assists. He had topped the 4.5 15 times throughout the playoffs. We know about his defensive game, but I kind of feel like he can get 6 or 7 dimes in this game, and I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know what you think about that, or if there's a prop that you like a little bit better from this contest.
Yeah, you nailed it. I have him projected for just under 7 assists. So yeah, I like that pick. I had that in the bet tracker as well. I also like Jason Tatum's over on his points, 23.5. I am for almost 29 points tonight. And I also don't mind Al Horford's over on his points, rebounds, and assists. He's a kind of guy that does it all at times, and not necessarily a big number there either. I'm scoring about 12 points and racking up about 9 rebounds anyway. So the assists are kind of just a cherry on top there in that bet. But those are 3 bets that I like from Boston. I will say the minutes might be a little bit fragile here in terms of projecting them, just because of the new addition of Malcolm Brogdon. We'll see how that pans out, but I assume he's going to have a pretty sizable role in this team.
Absolutely.
Being a good player on both sides of the court, like Marcus Smart is. I don't think Smart's any threat to lose minutes by any means, but maybe we don't see him have as many games where he's playing those monstrous 36, 37, 38-minute nights like he did last year. But I would just keep an eye on that for future nights in terms of the prop betting market.
Yeah, maybe the ball won't be in his hands as much, right? With Brogdon there, but he'll definitely, like you said, he'll be on the court because, his defensive game is so strong that I don't think he'll lose a ton of minutes there. Who do you think wins that game? Sixers, 7 and Celtics?
I guess my lean would be, I think I would lean the Sixers here in this spot. Just if I had to bet them anyway, just because you can get a little bit of juice with the underdog money line play there. Just because I don't have a great lean on it anyway. I think both these teams are very close. Obviously, tough to go against Boston. They were so good defensively last year, and I think adding Brogdon only helps that situation for them on the perimeter. But I would lean the Sixers if I had to make a bet here. I'm not betting either side, but if I were, it would be the Sixers, just so I can have a little bit of that underdog juice here.
And props is the way to go. You said, very profitable for you. And once you get into the season, you're projecting minutes. You got your model and projections and things like that. And the NBA, everybody knows. Things happen so quickly. Guys, all of a sudden scratch, and you see guys in second rotations all of a sudden get more minutes, and then there's value. I always see that you put in props for guys that 3.5 rebounds or 6.5 points on guys that you never think of, but there is edges, of course, in the NBA. Maybe not so much on opening night here. The second game, Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. I guess they're going to raise another championship banner there in Golden State. They're heavy favorites here at minus 240 on the money line. LeBron coming in. Man, he had a good year last year. He doesn't have anyone to play with last year. 6.5 favorites here for the Golden State Warriors. A high total at 225.5. I think I have a lean to the under. That's a lot of points there. Speaking of minutes, I don't know. There's been some talk that maybe Steve Kerr won't play his guys, in this first opening game, but I think there's some value on the board with some of their superstars on the Golden State Warriors side of things. What stands out to you in this matchup, Kyle?
Yeah, real quick, you mentioned the minutes, and that's a really interesting thing because the line hasn't really moved much. It's been, I think it opened at 7.5, now it's at 6.5. If someone told you that these starters are only going to play at the most 30 minutes, I would assume that this line would move at least a couple of points, or at least maybe even 3 points here. So I can't quite buy the report from Kerr there. I don't necessarily think Kerr's a liar, but this team just played 26, 27 minutes for their starters in a preseason game just a few days ago. I find it very hard to believe that if this game's a 5-point game in the fourth quarter and all these guys that played 30 minutes, that Kerr is just going to sit them down. I just can't believe that. So I'm not necessarily buying the minutes limit here on these Warriors. And for that reason, I think there's a lot of value on a lot of these guys here. Number one being Klay Thompson over on 15.5 points. It's my favorite bet of the day. Really like that number over there. I also like his over on his points, rebounds, and assists. And you can even just do the points and rebounds if you preferred as well. In my model, I capped him at 28 minutes just to kind of be a little conservative. And I still have him for over 21 points tonight. He's going to shoot a ton. He's probably going to have the second most volume on this Golden State team. And we saw several games last year where even when Steph was healthy and playing, Clay was still chucking the most shots on this team. So Lakers gave it up a ton last year. I know they added Patrick Beverley, but I think that's more of something that Steph Curry is going to be dealing with in this game rather than Klay Thompson. But they were horrible defensively last year, the Lakers were. And I think, going out and adding Patrick Beverley is going to help them, but I don't think it's going to necessarily completely fix the problem that they had last year. Adding Kendrick Nunn to that potential starting lineup tonight. I haven't had a confirmed starting lineup, but with no Dennis Schroeder out in the game for tonight's game, Kendrick Nunn is not a good defender either. So I think Klay Thompson's going to have a good matchup for him, especially if Beverly is on Curry. So Klay over on his points is probably my favorite prop of the night. Definitely my favorite play from this game here. And I like a couple of the other ones from the Lakers side as well. Looking at Anthony Davis's rebounds, I like that one as well. I mean, in terms of Anthony Davis, obviously the big problem with him is his health. This is as healthy as he's going to be, right? We hear that in the NFL all the time, where week one's as healthy as these guys are going to be. Can't get any better for Anthony Davis in terms of health wise. So hoping for a good showing here tonight for Davis.
I love it, Kyle. We're short on time. We got to say goodbye quickly. Check out the bet tracker for the latest, but the over on Klay Thompson. I absolutely love that. KMurrDFS, give him a follow on Twitter. One more quick segment here on Mean Streets. Don't go anywhere. One final block here. We got an Anthony Rizzo board. My apologies on this short segment, guys. We do have to get out of here. Yankees win. This is from yesterday. They're more juiced with Nestor Cortez, a better pitcher on the bump. But Rizzo's the big day for me against Savali. Total bases, maybe a 0.25 units on the home run. And I think I like Darvish over 5.5 strikeouts, and I believe the Padres will win game one. But I like the Phillies overall to win that series. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll be back next week. Cheers.